Good afternoon, folks. Hope you're all doing well. Hope everything's going well for you. I've finished watching the football. Now I'm just chilling out. I'm going to make some dinner in a little bit, but I thought, you know, do a stream first. Get some stuff done. Chill out. And there won't be much gaming or any gaming in this live stream because it's just going to be me chilling out. I'm just a bit run down at the moment because out last night and today was a heavy work day as well. So I'm just going to chill. Just going to chill. That's all I'm going to do today. Hope you're all doing well. I will, Prez. I'll be showing the game today, indeed. So the mechanics for dysentery are in the new game, not the game I'm showing you today. So very shortly, not right now, but very shortly, I will be accepting submissions for your own Space Marine chapter again. Very soon. Oh, yes. Sorry, I'm just double checking I've got something sorted out. There we go. Excellent stuff. Do. How is everyone doing? How is everyone doing? I'm not going to show you the entire game today because, like, you know, what will be the point? At that point, I'll be showing you everything. And you don't want to do that. Hey, Dave, you alright, mate? Just won a game of 40k 2v2. 2,000 points each. That must have taken a while. I'm starting to really get into Horus Heresy right now. It's something that's really got a bit the bug, you know. Got bitten by the Horus Heresy bug. So I'm definitely going to be doing that. Or more of it anyway, as time goes on. Noel says, "Oh, I've got your model, Noel. Yeah, I'll be showing that today." He says, "Did I tell you you were right about my first 40k game? Should have played OPR instead." Yeah, one-page rules, man. That or Horus Heresy. One thing I've noticed about Horus Heresy, right, is because it's a legionary-focused game, you know, Astartes-focused game, if you know your own army quite well, you automatically know the opponent's army, about 80% of it anyway, and what his capabilities are, right? There are far, far, far less gotcha moments in Horus Heresy, in my opinion, right? Far less. Games tend to flow quite quickly, ironically, for something that's based on 7th edition. There are no real stratagems. There are reactions, but those are things that keep the game flowing and keep everybody having fun at the table. And most of the time, say if you're playing Night Lords and I'm playing, Word Bearers, because I'm a man of culture. Let's say, I will know around about what your Night Lord's force can do. Do you know what I mean? Give or take. Give or take. But there's always that 20%, 10, 20% of what your army could do that I don't know that surprises me, Conrad Kurz has this ability that I've not seen, or, there's always something like that going on, which is great. But it's never enough to make you feel like, wow, this whole thing, I need to know every single codex by hand, as wrote, or I've got no chance. I'm always going to be coming up against these gotcha rulings that seem to invalidate all of my tactics and all the things that I want to do. Do you know what I mean? Horus Heresy isn't like that. We're all legionaries at the end of the day. We're all Astartes, right? So my capabilities are very similar to yours. Very, very similar. That's just where we are. Yeah. By the way, is Solar Auxilia popular in Horus Heresy or Mechanicus? Mechanicus would be if their book actually had Mechanicus in it. Kelbor Hal is not even in the Mechanicus book. That is how little the Mechanicus are in the Horus Heresy. So, no, not really. You can play Solar Auxilia. Yeah, there are rules in the game where you can play Solar Auxilia. There are rules in the game where you can play Mechanicus. If you're around on Tuesday, Maka was on earlier. We had a little call earlier, Outer Circle and I, and he was going off on the fact that the Mechanicus book in Horus Heresy has no Mechanicus in it. It's legionaries, for the most part. Go figure. Hey, Jim Jitsu, how's it going, man? Yeah, back to my point on Horus Heresy is, essentially, games flow a lot quicker because you know your opponent's rules mostly, and he knows your rules mostly. What he doesn't know is the capabilities of your Primarch, your combat doctrines, things like that are going on in your army, your advanced legionary rules. But those are never really enough to win the game outright. They're never powerful enough to do that, So I just prefer Horus Heresy. If I was going to play, if you held my feet to the fire and you were like, play a Games Workshop game, I would play Horus Heresy. I would. Much more my jam. But if I was going to play any game with my 40k models, it would be OPR, one-page rules. Took us 3 hours to get to the beginning of turn 3. Oh my god. Could you be arsed? Could you be arsed? I couldn't. Shall we do some models? Let's do some models. Our first model of the day, we will do it, we'll do Noel's first, why not? He sent them in, he was nice and early sending them in. So this is Noel's Baneblade, ladies and gentlemen. Is that the Shadow Sword? Dude, those knights are brilliant. No, sorry, knight lights. Like, I thought when I saw this picture much smaller, when I saw it much smaller, I thought that this was an actual light. That these were actual lights and you'd switch them on. That you put LED lights in there. The fact that you got that from your painting is brilliant. That's fantastic. Really good. Also, really nice blending of the camo. That's really cool. Really nice blending of the camo there. There are more Baneblade pictures. A side profile here. Dude, here you can actually see the real detail. Look at that. That's brilliant. That is brilliant. This looks like... This doesn't look like it's just rolled off the track. Do you know what I mean? This looks like it's a machine of war. I love the markers. Like the Ace of Spades cards in the back. That's brilliant. One thing I've always wanted to see from models, especially guard models, they should tell a story. They should be battered. They should have been in war zones for a while. Do you know what I mean? Just great, man. I can imagine looking at this in like a museum. Like the actual tank, not just, you know. Oh yeah, look at that. That's brilliant. Did you freehand the Dominator there? Or did you use a stencil? That looks cool. Did you freehand that? Where it says Dominator on the barrel there? It doesn't look like a transfer. Yeah. Thank you very much. It's a decal. Well, it doesn't look like a decal. Doesn't look like a decal. Alrighty. Yeah, we have an entire army. We have Abyssus. This is one of a few pictures of this Death army. Death. Those Blood Knights, those are cool. I like it. I like it a lot. You gotta love Death armies that have snowy bases. One of my favourite things. But I'm kind of a Philistine in that I really do prefer circular bases. That's just who I am. I just prefer them. I know, I'm terrible. Not for gameplay. So you guys in the chat, right? Take gameplay out of your mind. Do you prefer circular or square bases? And why? Because like, circular bases just, to me, they make the model look less like a model, more like somebody in that setting. Do you know what I'm saying? And I say this every time we do this this stream. Is that your model should look like... They shouldn't look like playing pieces. They should look like something that's naturally in that universe. Which is why I always tell you to blend your models together. So blend your models to the base. You know, make sure your model looks like it's standing on the base. You know, if there's a light shining on the deck of the bridge of the ship that your Space Marine is standing on, maybe shine a bit of that light onto the legs of the Space Marine with some colour. You know? If he's on a desert world, like my Exiled Blades are, then, you know, have a bit of dirt over the greaves, have some sand being kicked up onto their boots where they've been walking around. Yeah, exactly, Scum. Yeah, I'm saying that, yeah, the same thing. He says, circle bases make the model look like a snapshot from that world. I agree. I agree. Square bases look like playing pieces. And there's nothing wrong with that for the game, because that's the game of Warhammer Old World, right? And I like that. It's cool. But, yeah, exactly, yeah, Noel says the same thing. Yeah, round bases look like they cut out from a scene. I agree. Which is why I prefer them, basically. Magos. Rasputin. With traitorous world eaters. It's cool though. It's cool. I love what he's done with the black there. Is that shadow? Is that shadow you've tried to cast on over the model? It's pretty cool if it is. So a friend of mine was looking at the Exiled Blades the other day. Oh, I love that chain axe, man. That's brilliant. A friend of mine was looking at the Exiled Blades the other day, the models that I'd done, and he said, "Oh man, you should like put this in for Golden Demon. Like, you're not gonna win, but like it'd be cool to like see you, see your models in there. Maybe have them judged." I was like, "Yeah, cool. Maybe I'll do that next year." And then I spoke to a friend of mine who still works for the company, and he was like, "No, you can't." And I was like, why? He goes, well, you can, but you can only do it in the open category because you used to work for Games Workshop. So all ex-employees are banned from Golden Demon, essentially. We can go in the open category, but we can't go anywhere else. So we can't win the Slayer Sword, and we can't place. So, yeah. That sucks. Considering I was in retail, so I'm like, can I not get any dispensation? I wasn't trained to paint, you know? It's all my skill. I'm not an heavy metal painter or anything. But no, apparently not. It's across the board. Not allowed. Which sucks, but, you know. Then again, with how Games Workshop feel about my channel, I guess I'd be lucky to even get my models back without them going in the bin. Again, I love the gore, man. The gore is really good. Do you know those parts of the Horus Heresy novels where they've been killing so much with their chain blades that the teeth lock up? Do you know what I mean? This kind of thing. This kind of thing. Love it. Alright, Nick is next. And he has an Orky boy to show us. I love the fact he's got a grappling hook on his backpack. It's hilarious. Love it. Better show you the business end. Yeah, boy. He's a sneaky boy. Wonderful stuff. It is an unfair advantage for X Games Workshop staff to be in Golden Demon if they were taught to paint at Games Workshop. Yeah, it is. It is because Games Workshop people are the ones who judge it, and they're looking out for things that they think represent good skill. And if you've been taught good skill by the people who are doing the judging, you know, there's also nepotism too. You know, if somebody like an X Games Workshop employee won the Slayer Sword, that would create a lot of resentment. You know. But as a retail person, you know, I haven't got any skill advantage in painting by being a retail worker. But I also can see how nepotism would come into it. Like, so say if somebody like me won the Slayer Sword, not that they would, but I'm just saying hypothetically, if somebody like me won the Slayer Sword and won Golden Demon, and then it was revealed they're an X Games Workshop employee, I can see that that would generate some conspiracy theories. So that's probably why. Love the orc, though. Yeah, but that's probably why. I pled my case, but they didn't go for it. Scarecrow is next. Our first Space Marine of the day. Normally these things are covered in Space Marines. We can't swing a dead cat around here. Oh, sorry, shouldn't say that with the boys in the house. Without hitting a Space Marine. But this is our first one of the day. Not finished, of course. If you are on the Discord and I don't use your model, I'm not that's not a judgment on your skill at all. It's just I like to show models when they're nearing completion, and if they're not nearing completion, then I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna show them because that would be unfair. But this is really, really, really cool. I like this. The poses on the new Marines are really good. I will have to say that. And boy, if you're a Dark Angels fan, you are spoilt rotten these days. Look at those swordsmen behind him. Jesus, they look good. What do we have next? Starkeeter with a close-up of that Tyranid we saw the other week. Now he's done some more work on it. Look at that. Ooh, pustules and nodules. That's phenomenal painting though, isn't it? Almost too good. Tiddles is next. Big ol' rat gun. I don't know what you've put on the base, my friend, but I assume you were very excited about this model. I'm going to put the Discord link in the description in a minute. Or in the chat. I'll put it in the chat, shall I? I'll put it in the chat. There you go. Discord link is in the chat. I want to see the other side of this Skaven thing, man. If you could, that'd be amazing. So Tiddles, if you're there, man, send in another picture. Great looking model. The second one by Tiddles today is a wood elf. Well, a ghostly wood elf. Now, this is a technique I've not really seen Games Workshop do a lot, and that is like not having a body, having a ghostly warrior. That's just an animated set of armor that you can see is an animated set of armor because of the gaps and stuff. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool concept. I like it, as concepts go. It's pretty awesome. Now, I think that's it. I think that's the end of our mailbag. Those are the ones I have on hand, anyway. That I've sent myself through from my other account. Yeah. Oh, no. Dukicides. Speaking of hobbiters. Now, I remember back in the day. This Legolas miniature at the back was probably the first miniature I painted that looked really good. I was about 12 at the time. And I remember these models, man. I remember these models. I had fond memories of these models. The Fellowship of the Ring. Because when you look at them, I mean, I'll be honest with you, the quality of the models isn't great. Like, you've got heroin addict Aragorn there. You know? Like, even the heavy metal painters couldn't get a shine out of these models, really. You know what I mean? They don't look great. Bent swords, you know. Screwed up faces. Chubby fingers. Disproportionate bodies. Whole 9 yards, man. But, you know what? For nostalgia... Yeah, this is ticking all the right boxes. For nostalgia, I love it. Absolutely. I really do wish that they would release an updated version of this kit for the Lord of the Rings battle game. Middle-earth strategy battle game. They should really update this kit. You know? As like a... Well, when we have the anniversary of... The next anniversary of the Middle-earth strategy battle game... The Fellowship should be re-released to get an update in plastic. These are all metal models. These are all metal models. But they should do a plastic high detailed sculpt, and I would buy that set. Without a shadow of a doubt. If one thing is going to get me back into Lord of the Rings, it's that. If they did that, I would go and get the set. It is a good game. Like, Lord of the Rings is a decent game. It's not bad. It's very much based around heroes, but it's not bad. Not bad at all. I'm going to leave that up for a bit. I like this. I like this picture. It's giving me good vibes. The old Middle-earth. Alright, do you guys want to see the game I was working on? Why not? Window capture. Not that one. Here we are. So this is a sneak preview. There is a game out at the moment, and I'll put the link to it in the description down below. There is a game out on Amazon. It's ready to buy. You can go and get it. It's all there. I'll put this up here. And we're going to have a quick flick through it so you can see the kind of book that you'll be buying. But here it is. There we go. It is ready to buy. I did get myself some creator copies. There we are. Back to the game. I'll whack it in the description one sec. Not in the description. In the doobly-doo. It will be in the description of the stream. If you need to refresh the stream, it will be there momentarily. Oh, thanks, Noel. Thank you very much, man. Thank you very much. So this is Revenant, a feudal punk role-playing game of the Nexus engine, the Northern Exile Universal System. That's what we're calling it. Play-tested by a good friend of mine, David Mendy. He's a good guy. Again, copyright is all there. All the normal stuff is all there. Acknowledgements. You guys do appear in the acknowledgements, don't worry. So, the way I kind of write games is that I do a lore dump first. So what we do in the original section is that we have, in my first section, I always speak to you as an author. It's literally me sitting here telling you what my game is. One thing I always say to guys who are writing RPGs, and it really does grind my gears when they do this, never, ever, ever start your RPG, your tabletop role-playing game, by just jumping into lore and telling me about the world. In a weird way, you haven't earned the right yet to do that, because it might be a complete waste of my time. What you should do is what I tend to do, right? And that is, as an author, speaking as you, right? Tell people what the game is. Let's read this together and see how it reads, right? So, Revenant is a game and a world based on the idea of a fallen spacefaring civilization born of Earth, crumbling and revealing in its wake a feudal society that squats in the ashes of what was. Technology is ripped to pieces, shattered and unusable, kept in this hellish status quo by metallic demons that live deep within the skin of the Crimson World. The Crimson World itself is a violent, savage and brutal place where almost anything that roams its wastes is quite possibly trying to end you. Right? That is the game in a nutshell. You will know, picking up this book and reading that paragraph there, that very short paragraph, whether this game is for you or not. Very simple, right? Again, we go into more detail, right? That does not mean that the Crimson World is without hope. Kingdoms and other realms have started to spring to life across its battered surface, and it is within and between these great powers that you will adventure. Revenant is a tabletop role-playing game based around the idea of the player already being a character capable of great power, but power that will be learned over time and experience. As such, most who walk the waste as players will find themselves becoming ghost glaives, warriors with personality engrams stored into their brains, filled to the brim with the tortured minds from the final empire that fell so long ago. It will be up to your character to parse the useful voices in their heads from the noise and become a warrior of legend amongst the cracked and barren earth of the Crimson World. So, we set up the setting, and now we've set up who you're going to be playing as, right? The Crimson World is not Earth. It was a world settled by the final empire that sprang from the birthplace of humanity, right? When the final empire fell, the Crimson World fell into ruin and barbarism. We now live in an age of darkness as petty kingdoms that stretch across the Crimson World, ruled by techno-barbarian kings, and they seek to claim the birthright of mankind to head back into the stars over the corpses of anyone who will stand in their way. Whether you work for one of these great powers, avoid them like the plague as a freelancer, or even seek to become a nation in time, that is entirely up to you. As a Ghostglaive, you house near limitless potential within yourself. Power and wealth could be yours, but also ultimate infamy and shadow. Humanity clings to life on the Crimson World. Whether that grip strengthens or is broken loose forever may very well be down to you in the stories you tell on its shattered surface. Okay. And then we go into, what is feudal punk? So I termed feudal punk, I explain what that is. And what inspired Revenant. This is something that should be in every RPG, in my opinion. So you should have a little section where you have things that inspired you, and you show people what, I always look for something like this in an RPG. If I pick something up off a shelf, and I flick through, I always look for what inspired this game, because that will tell me if it's going to be for me or not. Almost straight away. So in this, not all of these are my favourite things, by the way. That's not how you're supposed to do this. Don't do this section as if, these are all my favourite things, hurrah. No, don't do that, right? Be honest in your inspiration. What inspired me to make this setting? Dune is not my favourite thing. Neither is Kenshi, neither is Dark Sun. I like those things, but they're not in my top 5 things of all time, but they do have a lot of DNA suckered up into Revenant, right? So Dune, for instance, Kenshi, Dark Sun, and what else do we say? Berserk, because Berserk is the most amazing thing ever. And of course, Warhammer 40,000, right? And let's read about that, shall we? In honesty, only 2 things from Warhammer 40,000 have inspired Revenant. The world of Caliban, a fallen sci-fi world with knights slaying gigantic mutants and monsters, and how the church and state interact in quite a grim, dark manner. The idea of technological advancements being heresy also has its roots in Warhammer 40,000. Right? So we've explained what the game is, the world you'll be exploring, who you'll be playing, and the inspirations that made the game possible in the first place. Then we go into how should Revenant play? How should the game play when you're playing it, right? Now, we don't go into rules here. This is just the author in black and white telling you what a session of this game looks like when you're playing it. Doesn't have to be very long, but you do have to tell people how they should feel whilst playing the game if it's working correctly. It also makes sure that anybody reviewing your work can read this, how should Revenant play, or how should your game play, and they'll be able to play test your game, play it with their friends, and then come back and tell you whether you succeeded or not in what you were trying to do. It gives your players something to aim for and go, it should feel like this. The game should work like this. And it gives them this is the Astronomicon, right? If you want to do it in 40k ways, this right here is the Astronomicon for your players. They come back, how should the game play? If our game resembles this, brilliant. Because the author's done a good job in making the game, and we're doing a good job in playing the game, right? As Black Lodge Gaming say, no gaming is better than bad gaming, and having this in your game is a very good way to ensure that most people at your table are having a bloody good time. Alright, we got a note to Game Masters, but I won't go into that. That's more gamified stuff. Got a bit of art here. It appears bigger in the book than it does on here. And a brief lore dump. So, Revenant is not the biggest game I'm ever going to write. It's about 126 pages, all in all, in terms of the game itself. It's $5.99 in physical copy, and it is it's $5.99 in physical copy, and it's $3.99. What I have here is $3.99 if you went and bought it. The reason why it's priced that way is because I bought a brilliant game that I bought off Amazon called Cairn, right? And Cairn is an RPG that is literally 8 to 10 pages long. It's very, very, very simple, very elegantly written, and it's a lovely little book. 8 to 10 pages, that's it, and you've got your RPG there ready to go, right? I've used it before, it works really well. Cairn was around £3.50, right? My game is 10 times the size of Cairn. Like 10 times the size. And I only charge, you know, another £2 or £3 for it. Right? I wanted it to be cheap. I wanted it to be affordable. I wanted you to be able to, my first project that people can actually buy, I wanted people to be able to just go and get it and have it on their shelf as a bit of Northern Exile history, right? You know, they can have it there. For no other reason than, hey, it's helping North out, and it's a book that he wrote. That's cool. And if I ever want to play an RPG, maybe I'll try this one first. You'll also get your hobbyists going, oh, I love collecting games. This looks like a really good thing, and I want to buy it, right? So, yeah, that's why the price point is as it is. Lore dump as well. In a game like this, I try not to give you an exhaustive piece of lore, right? There is lore here, so we cover who the Final Empire are, who the Cold Ones are, why technology is terrible in this setting, Void Core and Star Metal, right? The Crimson World itself, all this other stuff, and we have pieces of art. The Kingdom of Sentinel. Now, I love... every parent has their favourite children. And whilst I love the setting as a whole, the Kingdom of Sentinel is badass, right? Now, I'm going to read this for you, and we'll explore this together. So, the Kingdom of Sentinel. A recent breakaway from Vanguard. Vanguard is the main empire of the setting that's ruled by Void Mages. Void Mages are essentially mages who can use solar flares, black holes, and similar things to rend apart their enemies, right? And it's like this Roman Empire across the world, but Sentinel's broken away from it. So, a recent breakaway from Vanguard, the Kingdom of Sentinel is actually a small kingdom around the city of Sentinel Prime. This city sits at the edge and starting point of the Great Rift, a massive scar gouge in the Crimson World's surface caused by a superweapon of the Final Empire's fall and their doomed fight against the Cold Ones. The Cold Ones are essentially sentient machines who, imagine the Terminators if they were all, like, wanting to eat you. And they grow more, they grow more intelligent the more sentient flesh they eat. Yeah, it's not great. The Lords of Sentinel Prime swore centuries ago to guard Vanguard and Tharsis, which is the continent that we're on, from the Cold Ones surging up from the Great Rift. They have placed this above all other needs and loyalties. As such, when the Vanguard Emperors demanded for decades that the warriors of Sentinel Prime abandon their posts to join their invasion of the last Drain holdings across the Boreal Sea, the Sentinel Knights refused. This led to the Red Siege, where the Vanguard Emperor hurled his legions at Sentinel Prime in vengeance for their apparent treachery. When the rage of the Emperor was spent, however, a blackened and devastated Sentinel Prime still stood. Peace was declared between the two, and the Sentinel Knights left alone to guard their Great Rift. Some of the greatest warriors known on the Crimson World, the Sentinel Knights are taken from birth and trained in the arts of war from the moment they can stand, given toxins and mutagens to encourage muscle growth and bone density as they grow. There are few who can stand against their might. Sentinel Prime sits overlooking the vast Great Rift, and at its heart is a gargantuan slab of Void Core, descended from the heavens, from which the Knights create their weapons and armour. This means that all relic weaponry of the Knights are considered precious and must be recovered. The Sentinel Knights fight a daily struggle to hurl back the Cold Ones that attempt to rise out of the rift. Warriors and mercenaries from across the world come to this city to ply their trade, making their fortunes, fighting for the kingdom against threats within and without. Errant knights from Sentinel Prime travel far and wide to places where yet more Cold Ones slam into the surface of the Crimson World on great rocks and asteroids. There they do battle with the beasts, attempting to stem the tide before it rises to wipe humanity from the galaxy. And after every single one of these, there is a designer's note, where I take you behind the scenes for a short period, and I tell you what this culture and part of the world is based on. So the Kingdom of Sentinel relies on knightly orders and oaths to hold to their task. As such, they are extremely feudal in nature, and their Watcher King is named such because he literally watches the Great Wound for signs of a Cold One incursion. Their inspirations are a sci-fi warped version of holy knightly orders from our own world, like the Knights Templar and Hospitallers. They are incredibly wealthy thanks to the mineral wealth beneath their city, and the Watcher King is both a king and a supreme Grand Master of the Knight Sentinel. This is a kingdom of knights, oaths, and squires dedicated to fighting back Armageddon. Alright, we then have the Hive Realms of the Crate, and these dudes are essentially bug people samurai. Yeah. Bug people samurai. That's what they are. And, okay, we got, like, all of the fundamental lore here. So, Magics of the Void, Leviathans in the Dark. All pretty neat stuff that you'll need to know to really run a really good session of Revenant. But that's it, right? The lore is over. We're at page 44, the lore is over. The rest of the game is all rules. So these are all the rules that you can get in the game. They are quite well balanced. We had to change a few things around as we went through the game, simply because some Ghost Glaive combinations were busted. Were really, really, really powerful. So we had to dial them back a little bit. But the game is really easy to play. You can play it. You can solo it if you know the rules. You can solo the game. But there is no, like, game generator right now. There will be eventually when I do the next iteration of the book. Maybe in a sequel down the road. But yeah, we have playable races, and each of them has a special rule as well. So that's pretty cool. And these are the Ghost Glaive rules. So this is becoming a Ghost Glaive. So you have different Ghost Glaive archetypes. So these are... Ghost Glaive are engram constructs. Similar to what you find in Cyberpunk. The one that Johnny Silverhand is on. Very similar to that. So you slot them into your third eye implant in your head. And they can't be removed. They remove themselves on death, right? And you have millions of people now in your brain, just telling you how to do certain things. And of course, you know, the ghosts that Ghost Glaives are made from, they came from the Final Empire. So basically when the Final Empire was falling, and humanity was going, oh my god, we're all gonna die, most of them started uploading their consciousnesses to, or at least copies of them, to ghosts. You know, to save their consciousness for the next life, for the next cycle, right? Well, we've been finding them and installing them in our brains. And you're one of those people. So yeah, you have different archetypes of ghost. Different types of ghost you can have. So you can actually have a ghost that's self-serving and tries to take over your body. That is in the rules. Alright? So you can have a ghost that tries to take over your body. And of course you have ghost feats here. Most of these are combat-based, but not all of them are. And yeah, pretty cool stuff. I think most of this is going to be ghost rules now, isn't it? Yes, it is. It is. So ghost rules, how to become a technomancer, things like that. And notoriety as a Ghost Glaive, like how things happen, and the progress clocks you can get. Becoming a Void Mage, how to be a mage in the setting. The Might of Gravity, things like that. So obviously you can't wear heavy armor as a Gravity Mage because, you know, you'll crush yourself. But yeah. This is essentially the rules as we have them. So that is Revenant. It is a fully playable, fully ready to go setting and book that is available in the description down below. And eventually, I am going to be releasing a new game as we get into it. The new game, I'll answer some questions first, but the new game will be a fantasy setting, but I'll get into that in a second. Okay. Are you and the family having a good weekend? We are, Supersonic. Thank you very much. Getting big Destiny vibes, to be honest. That's cool. That's cool. Destiny's cool. Have a good one, Noel. Thanks, man. It reminds me of what does that say? It reminds me of Great Sky Rivers aspects of Ancestors. That's cool. That's cool. I don't know what that is. So, as a writer, you will get this a lot, right? When somebody says to you, "Oh, it reminds me of this," please don't take that as an insult. I know a lot of writers do. I know a lot of writers say, "Well, it's not. It's not that. It's my own thing. Damn it, you know." I get that. I get you are protective of your own work, and I get that you don't want to, say, "Well, my work's just the same as somebody else's." You feel like somebody is deriving your work and boiling it down if they say it's similar to something else. Most people are giving you that statement as a compliment. When they say this sounds like 40k, or this sounds like Lord of the Rings, or this sounds like whatever, they're equating your work to something that they really like. So take it as a compliment, man. There is nothing new under the sun. Give yourself a break. You can't think of new things all the time, Exactly, Boycott. Exactly, mate. So, the new game, I'm not going to show it right now, but the new game is called Oathbound. It is a grimdark fantasy role-playing game. The new one. But it is a fantasy role-playing game that is incredibly unforgiving. We do have rules for dysentery, yes. Because if it can happen to Edward the Black Prince, it can happen to you and your mook of a character, right? But yeah, it is a brutal, brutal game. And if your characters survive, they do get more powerful, and they do end up being able to survive the world by and large. Oathbound is a game that can zoom out. What I mean by that is, you will be creating a character, yes. You will be in an adventuring party, yes. But you will also be creating a few characters, because you and your friends are running a mercenary band. That is the central core and concept of Oathbound. You've all sworn the Iron Oath to each other, which basically means you're in a mercenary band, and each of you creates, let's say we have 5 people sitting around a table, each of you will create 3 to 5 characters that are in your roster, right? So you'll have like a knight, a cleric, and a ranger, right? If you're going to use D&D terms. And you guys, as players, you will decide where the company's going to march and ride to next. You may want to go to a town, and you head into the town, and you say, "Well, are there any jobs for, like, a bunch of bastards like us?" And they'll go, "Yes, bunch of bastards. There's a priestess who we are very, very, very fond of. She's been taken by trolls, and she's in that cave over there." And you go, "Right, how much are you willing to pay for that?" And they go, "We'll pay you 1,000 gold." Brilliant, brilliant. You go back to your camp, right? And you decide which of your characters is going to go on this mission. Each of you selects one of your characters from your roster. They go on the mission. They succeed, hopefully. They come back, and you guys split out the spoils and things like that. Your mercenary company can and should do other jobs in the meantime too. So your mercenary company will be doing other things whilst you're on your mission. You come back, you pull your resources, you have your downtime, right? You go to the pub, you go to the alehouse, you go to the whorehouse, whatever it is you do, right? And then the session ends. And that's how a session of Oathbound plays out. But there are rules in the game that zoom out. So, we've covered party, right? You can be in a party, and you do go out there and you roleplay being in a party. You do roleplay being a part of a mercenary band, but Oathbound is also a tabletop war game. Yes, it is a tabletop war game where you can use your character or your characters as part of your army on the tabletop, fighting against the DM and other people in the same world. There are complete rules for that. So, imagine, if you will, a mix between D&D, Mountain Blade Warband, yeah, and Warhammer the Old World. Mix those 3 games together, and you've got Oathbound, right? Again, I use D&D loosely there because it is a brutal game. You will go through characters. That's why I encourage you to make more than one. You know, you can make just one, but I encourage you to make more than one. I had a friend of mine, when we were playtesting the game, he made one character, and then when that one character died, he would then make another character. He had ideas in his head, and every now and again, he would make another character, and he would introduce them to the group, and they'd join the mercenary band, kind of a thing, you know? And they were literally called the Band of Bastards. It's the Band of Bastards. That's just what they were. They were salty, horrible bastards. And they would go around and they would do nefarious deeds for everybody in the world. They would cave people's skulls in for a tuppence. They were great. They were absolutely great. Yeah, so it's gonna be. I will say now, I'm writing Oathbound. So Revenant is 126 pages, right? Oathbound is already 3 times the size, and I haven't started on the mercenary band rules yet, or the lore. It is a vast, vast game. I'm thinking it's going to be weighing in at around 350 to 500 pages, and I make no fucking apologies for that. Alright? I make no apologies for it. I'll be selling it for around $9.99, which is a massive value. You're going to get a 500-page RPG, and in the RPG is a war game and a mercenary band simulator game, all in there. And the way I say the concept of Oathbound is that you can play it like a normal role-playing game, but let's say you've got a mouse, right, and a mouse wheel. You can pull back on that mouse wheel and scroll outwards, right, and you'll see your party, yeah, on your little adventure, yeah. You scroll backwards, you see your mercenary band and where they are on the map, and they have their own statistics and their own morale meters and their own attrition meters and things like that, right? The morale and all that. Then you can zoom out even more and see where different armies on the map are converging on different places, because wars are happening in the world as you go. The world is always changing. There will even be rules to be just like the Normans and to set up your own kingdom, if you want, as you rise in power later on. You don't have to. You can be a bunch of bastards, and that's all you need to be. Or you can. There are rules where you can have your own settlement. You can have your own castle, your own fortress, right? And from there, you can build a power base. And let's say a king in the setting says, hey, bunch of bastards, you guys are really, really, really powerful. I'm at war with this other country, so if you help me out in that war, and you win that war for me, I will make you dukes, and I will give you part of my kingdom as your own dukedom, right? You can take that and go, oh, thank you very much. You do your bit, right? And then you think, actually, I quite fancy the idea of being a king, and you overthrow the bastard. You can do that. There are rules in Oathbound that allow you to do that. So it's going to be a 500-page game with art, very reminiscent of like Dark Souls and Berserk, right? Very grim, dark, black and white art. The world resembles that too. It's very grim. The gods are not nice people in this setting at all. Okay. And that will be out sometime before the end of the year. I'm hoping. If not, it'll be very early 2025. But I'm hoping by the end of the year it'll be out and done. But yeah, that's what I'm working on right now. I'm starting the process of working on Black Coat's 2nd edition. We had 1st edition on the channel. I didn't sell it. It was free. But I'm starting the process of version 2 of Black Coats, which is essentially the Order 1886 combined with Red Dead Redemption and Dishonored into a single setting. That kind of a thing. And I'm also in the very, very, very early stages of a sci-fi cyberpunk setting too. But that won't be out till way into next year. So we've got games on the go. We have games on the go. And I will be setting up my own not so much publishing company, but we're going to be having a publishing group that is the Northern Exile Tabletop Gaming Group, where, you know, you can put all of my branding will be on these books, and eventually, if you've got an idea, if you've got a book that you want to put out there, you've got a game you want people to get a hold of, maybe you can be a part of that too when we go into next year. Yeah, it would be a lot of work, and I don't know, again, the game makes no apologies, man. It is a lot of work, yes. Yes, but it is a collaborative piece of work, and I'm not afraid of asking a lot of my players, right? I'm sick of games saying, hey, if you don't like this rule, just don't use it. No, I paid £45 for this book, man. Why don't you tell me the rules? So yeah, we're definitely going to be... We'll be asking a lot of players in Oathbound, but I'm hoping that it's one of those games that just clicks with enough people that they get over that. They're like, dude, this is so cool. We've got our own mercenary company. Are you shitting me? We're literally a band of bastards, and we're in this grim, dark setting. Dude, this is great. This is awesome. Like, I love this, right? That's what I want. That's what I want. And as long as we get enough people, you know, really, really, really buying in and saying this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, man, yeah, that's it. Yeah, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. And again, I'm not financially reliant on any of these games making it. That's the good thing, right? I would love to make some money selling my games, but I don't need to. That's why I price them the way that I do. I want my work out there and to be read by people who like the same kind of things that I do. And maybe I can... Yep. I think I'm on this earth to make people's lives a little bit better. And by that I mean nerds. Fellow nerds who are like me. Who have depression. Who have days where they just can't be bothered. Do you know what I mean? Who have days where they just want to give up. Well, it's my fucking mission in life to make sure that those people are seen and those people actually are able to, you know, pick up a book that was written by one of their own. That's why I price the games the way I do. That's why they don't cost very much money. And they never will, right? Maybe one day a publisher will come along and say, hey, we'll publish that, and it'll cost people £20, and I'll be like, no, it won't. It'll cost them exactly the same amount of money that it cost them last time. If you want me to make a new game that you're going to put all of your massive colour art behind, then fair enough, you know. But yeah, hopefully people get Oathbound when it comes out, and they are able to read it. And to be honest with you, man, more rules and more content is never a bad thing to me. Like, it's... And you can write a really elegant game in 1 or 2 pages. I've done it, right? And it's quite fulfilling. It's lovely, right? Revenant is one of those games. It's a very small game. It's not very big. Even though it's 160 pages long, you know. Oathbound isn't that. Oathbound is a magnum opus. Oathbound is something that I've thought about making for at least a decade. And this is me splurging on it and going, do you know what? It's going to be... I'm publishing it myself, so it's going to be exactly the way I fucking want it. And if you don't like that, you don't need to buy it. You know, that would be my philosophy. I made this for me. In the same way Tolkien wrote his books for him. Tolkien didn't write his books for you. He wrote it for him. Because he thought he had this world and he wanted to tell the story, damn it. And he's going to tell the story the way he wanted to tell it. That's when I think you have pure art. That's where it comes from. When the artist doesn't give a shit about what the audience wants. He does what he wants or she wants, right? And if you like that, all power to you, man. We are together in this. That is awesome. I love the fact... And it's more real, right? If I've written something and I don't give a shit whether you like it or not and you still love it, dude, we are on the same wavelength. And now I have a true fan now. You're a true fan of my work. And that means more to me than trying to please... I would rather honestly please 500 people who buy my books than please 10,000 people by writing something that I don't really believe in. Do you know what I mean? I would rather write one Oathbound and make money from it, a small amount of money, than write 20 D&D supplements that make a lot of money. You know? That's my design philosophy anyway. Anyway, I'm going to go and make some dinner, because I'm sure my missus is wasting away downstairs, and I'm actually quite hungry. So, I love your long time. Guys, thank you very much for sticking with me and for having a little look at my games and for being around for our hobby showcase. I will speak to you tomorrow for some more Hobby Nightmares, and I will be doing a stream almost, not every day this week, but most days this week I will be doing a stream. Alright? Alright. Love you a long time. Speak to you soon. Bye now.